Do you need help? Do you need us to send assistance?
Blink twice if you need help. Are you dying?
If you're okay. Is everybody in? Is everybody in? Tucked in tight, I hope. We're all tucked in nice and tight. That, of course, because Skilbo over here, he was just having himself a nice little Gorilla Glue. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir. Cough to get off.
I hope you're good over there, buddy.
Cough to get
Cheers,
off.
everybody. Thank you all
That's
very
funny
much.
saying.
You ever heard the cough to get off before? Yeah. Cough to get off. We're gonna talk about
Super
that.
old school.
That sounds good. Well, guys, you might notice that we're in a different location right now. We are out at our farm, at our indoor cannabis location here, our indoor cannabis cultivation location. Signal is going to be spotty. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some rock and roll, some smoke, some mushrooms. If we sound okay, if the video is, guys, it's going to be what it is.
It's going to be what it is tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not coax. Probably going to be a short show as well. Like we were talking last week, we're on summertime, summer hours, and that means that we have a lot to do. We can talk a little bit about what is in the plans for why we're out here, why we're working late, and all that stuff. We're actually moving crops. Currently, we have to set up some infrastructure for a nursery room out here. We don't typically keep our mothers out here. We typically hand water our mothers. We don't keep baby plants out here. We don't clone out here. All anyways, all of that stuff has been in the works for a couple of years trying to get a nursery built, but it's just, I've been busy working.
Have you decided on a size yet?
Oh yeah, I have a 6x10 room that's been built out. I also have about a 10 by 10 room. I'm sorry, it's more like a 6x8 room. 6x8, that's going to be the mother stock, the clone room and such. It's more like a entrance room into the main bloom room, but that's kind of
repurposed.
It's enough to, well, I mean, I have a water line in there already. I have a drain line in there. I have electrical. I got lights in there. I mean, it's set up. It's set up to grow some plants. So it's original purpose. The room is the air supply and everything is all filtered with the bloom room. So I mean, it's got CO2 and everything in it. So it's all ready to rock. I just haven't had the chance to move the plants and build up the infrastructure.
Right.
Put in a reservoir and all that. So we have all the materials here. We're staying the night. We're gonna work through the night, and Becca's gonna work on getting the next round of plants, which is 32 mid, almost adult. They're adult veg plants. They're going into flower in like 2 weeks.
Late teens.
We're gonna make the gems and genetics. Yeah. We have to flip these bad boys when we get back from vacation. If we're gonna have this crop ready for gems and genetics.
Right
which
on.
is the plan. So we're gonna have a wide variety going, and then we have a bunch of plants in the cloner that need to come out here this weekend. Like I said, we're not gonna be around to hand water. We're gonna be gone for 7-8 days, and that's not enough time to just overflow the reservoirs or overflow the trays for. It might get 4 or 5 days out of that.
Right.
Yeah, maybe the little ones might be okay, but we're nonetheless we're gonna get them out here, hook them up to timers, hook them all up to automation, and hopefully we can get out of town for 8 to 10 days at a time without having to really worry about it. And I'll tell you what, man, coming home when we get back, not having to worry about plants at the house except for the outdoor is gonna be great, because that means we can freely go in and out of the house, without having to worry about bugs and tracking shit through the house and all that kind of stuff. Don't have to worry about people taking their shoes off.
Different kind of like weight off your shoulders. Probably yours for sure.
Well, yeah.
You've had them there forever.
Yeah, they've been there forever. It'd be nice. Still probably going to keep some genetic stock there just for the redundancy, but that's kind of what's on the bag this weekend, man. So I'm gonna have a short show tonight, guys. We have to keep working through the evening. So.
How does Becca feel about all this extra fucking burning of the midnight oil and fuck, man? Over 30 plants. You're just bursting with fucking fruit flavor. I can see it from over here.
We've been planting all day, dude. She's put a couple hundred plants in the ground in the last couple of days. Not cannabis plants, but like vegetable plants. Like,
well, your your garden page for the house. I keep looking at it like, damn, it's just fucking great, man. You want to give that a shout out?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Rosemary's Oasis. It's all one word. It's non-cannabis content mostly, always.
It's really good though.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna, as soon as these plants start growing a little bit, I made like 2, what size are those raised beds, would you say, that I planted in?
You planted in there 8x16.
8 by
Oh
16.
shit.
So I did 2 of those that hadn't been planted in a year. Last year they were covered.
Mm.
I barely planted in those things in the last few years.
And so
been really overgrown.
I had to like shape the beds pretty much because they all had cardboard and a lot of sticks and stuff that were breaking down. And so I shaped it, and then I made like little entryway walkways, and then I planted around that. In one bed, it's all like the kales and broccolis, some Brussels sprouts.
It's a lot of work, man.
Cabbage,
Onion.
oh my gosh, onion.
There's a lot of work just planting, but planning permaculture design is a lot of work. It's a lot of
Pre-planning.
I mean, like, yeah, well, pre-planning and just research mostly. Like,
so it's me asking a lot of questions because
Yeah.
he's watched all the videos and done a lot more research.
We've got co-planting
so-
books and things like that. And so there's some things that plant well together and some things that don't plant well together. There's methods of high density planting that we're really kind of focused on. And that's within the same species also. I do believe that the plants are very, very sentient in many different ways. They kind of, in one of the respects is like, let's think of a cherry tomato, right? And it's, it's a tomato and it falls in the ground. It has a dozen seeds, maybe 50 seeds or whatever's inside.
You get a volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say that tomato plants itself dries out and you get 100% success rate. All 12 little seedlings survive, right? And they're all clustered in one little thing. The object is for, maybe only a couple of those are going to survive. One of the things I kind of think happens is I think a bunch of them kind of gang up together and they go, hey, who's the weak link? It's fucking Terry over there. Terry's the weak link. Let's send
Someone's getting
some
ostracized.
hormones.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's send some hormones his way.
An interesting thing that I'm thinking about is that you have so many different species of things in there at once that I wonder if you have like some things throw deep roots, some things are low, some things barely, have roots at all. In other words, like, with cannabis, you kind of know that you're looking for, phosphorus and potassium when you hit flowering and things like that. And I guess my ignorance is showing on how all those things play nice together. It's kind of outside of my wheelhouse.
Other plants are going to cycle nutrients. Think legumes, right? Think the beans and the peas. They're all going to cycle nitrogen. Yeah, just like clover does. There's lots of legume. There's There's the oh shit, I can't think of the name. I want to call it moringa. The leaf resembles a moringa, but it's I'd have to think of it for a second. But it's like a perennial legume. It'll come back. It's like a tree, basically. Great. So you plant that tree in between your mimosa. It's mimosa, not mimosa hostilis, but mimosa.
My ears perked up on I was waiting for the hostilis part. Like, hey, okay, I see we're halfway to our DMT trip.
It may be similar species. However, this one does fix nitrogen in the soil, so it's good to plant in between your trees. It's another tree to plant within your tree. So a lot of the stuff does work like that. Some stuff, for example, planting onions within your brassicas or your cabbage helps keep cabbage moth away from your brassicas. Like other things like putting like mint and herbs and shit like that, thyme, and we all know like pyrethrin it's going to come from thyme. Well, if you don't, pyrethrin comes from thyme, so there's natural pesticides, if you will, inside of a lot of these herbs.
That's where it all comes from. It's unlocked from the plants, you know.
Right. You put lots of those into putting a lot of rosemary. Rosemary is gonna be a big deterrent, mites and shit like that. You know, ants. Rosemary will deter ants and things. So what I really like to do is seasonally, as my rosemary plants die off, you got a bunch of rosemary branches and leaves and shit. We'll harvest some for our own use, and I'll take the rest and I'll break them up and I'll scatter them across the garden, because this, you know, the scent will get inside there. The ants and shit, they can smell that stuff way better than us. And I'll tell you what, that stuff's been sitting in the garden frozen, you know, since the fall, and it's still just reeks of rosemary.
Aromatic.
It's on my hands and I can smell it. Guarantee the ants can smell it. So we had a pear tree that's a little weak link. We want to make sure the ants don't get it. So I sprinkled a whole bunch of rosary on it, you know, so I can see, yeah, the ants are still there, but you know, I'm hoping it helps, right? A lot of that going on. It's a lot of design. It's letting nature work with itself, you know, work with the nature, not against it.
And using the different heights. So in the second bed that I did a lot of chard, which gets really tall and big. So that like was towards the middle, and then I did spinach and kind of you know, so you could reach everything really, and nothing shades each other out.
Yeah, it's another important one too.
I have two questions then. I realize that if it takes a whole lot of effort to do all this in hours and planting, I realize that the harvesting will be at least as much, if not way more. And then the second question would be, do we have similar harvest times, or do we kind of have a staggered harvest? Are we pulling all 32 feet down, just going, fuck it, let's just get down with it, how we get down?
It'll be throughout the season for sure. Like we already have some radishes that were planted just a couple weeks ago, not too long, that are almost ready for harvest.
Could have harvested a couple today. Just didn't get to it. Probably harvest them tomorrow when we get back home. But yeah, some harvest radishes are already ready to pop, man. Some lettuce is already ready to go. Soon will be carrots. We have potatoes. Potatoes are a good 100 days, so they're still a good 60 days out. But the idea is most crops are between 60 and 100 days. So if you have a variety of 60-day crops, you know, you can have stuff kind of going and cooking on the stove and stuff, getting preserved in the pantry and shit while you're waiting on your 100-day crops. 100-day crops, you know, you're looking at a lot of like squash, and you're looking at a lot of the tomatoes and peppers and things like that. 60-day crops, you're looking at a lot of, you know, leafy greens, things like that, probably kale and shit like that. Kale's probably a little more like 100, but you know, variety to variety.
Oh my gosh, we have so much kale.
We eat a lot of it. We make kale salad. I make spinach pie, so a lot of like brassica is gonna use a lot of collards and shit for the spinach pie.
We also did tomatoes today.
What kind?
16 indeterminate tomatoes in a row. And those are gonna get trellised up a couple T-posts with some string and shit like that. And
lots of different kinds, like 8 different kinds, maybe
4, 5 or 6, in total probably like 8 different kinds. Then we have so you're like Roma tomato, and probably your beefsteak tomato. There's a couple of those. That's a good example of a determinate tomato. You don't have to do a lot of pruning with determinate tomatoes. In fact, you don't want to prune them at all. If you prune them, you may not get as much production out of them because they are a finite species. And so it's kind of like cannabis. It's going to get so big as the season will let it before it starts to fruit. It's only going to get so much fruit. A indeterminate style of tomato, think cherry tomatoes. Did I say
viney
Roma
tomatoes?
Yeah. The Roma would be a bush style. This Amish paste or Roma or, you know, beefsteak and stuff. But yeah, the cherries, all your fancy heirlooms, man. Just about every fancy heirloom you can think of. Black Beauty,
bumblebee,
purple bumblebee,
yellow.
Give me some colorful salads over there at Shea Red Setter.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to prune them. You're gonna want to prune the runners. You only want them to keep like one main stalk, and they'll be very productive if you do that. So you let them go straight up. Tomatoes are a wild one, man.
And you can plant them a little bit deeper than you think, which I really like, because they'll shoot roots off like a whole stalk.
I'm kind of interested to see what your favorite thing is that you've got going so far, Becca. What plant are you like totally geeked out about? Like, man, I can't wait to see how this one turns out.
Honestly, like we started most of what we have from seed ourselves. So it's so cool to see, like, we have some red Russian kale that's just flipping huge. And I just put it in the ground a couple days ago and it's already just looks so good. But I really like to see the stuff from seeds from our own garden. So the pumpkins that are doing really great, dill literally flipping everywhere. It's awesome. What else came from us?
I like when Noob Gross says that he meant to grow 4 tomatoes and I think he's narrowed it down to about a dozen.
Fuck those tags. Yeah, man.
But okay, so spaghetti, things that I think we could like actually use, and that we're gonna eat everything, obviously, but
right,
like the spaghetti squash is one that we just started cooking recently a lot more, or like using all of the herbs and stuff for spinach pie, so you can make, you know, a whole spinach pie pretty much out of stuff
hell
from
yeah
our garden. That's sweet.
Spinach pie sounds so good right now.
I want to cook an entire pie, less the phyllo dough and the feta, right? So minus those two,
feta.
Every other ingredient.
I fucking love feta cheese, dude.
Dill, spinach.
Yeah, man.
Easily the best cheese.
You need some white onion, some green onion.
Onion is super cool. I'm excited. I'm actually really excited to see how that grows too.
I guess we wouldn't.
Different kinds.
I guess we would have our own salt and pepper. We would have to source salt and pepper.
You gotta start digging in the backyard to get to those salt mines, bro. The pepper, you can grow the peppercorns. Fuck it, man.
I mean, to the brackish waters of
the Detroit River.
Yeah, I'll go up to North
brackish
Maine.
water.
Don't eat that salt, man.
The brackish waters, the Detroit River. Yeah,
Red, we got to bring the word brackish back. That should be up there with clandestine.
Brackish, man. Well, it depends. I mean,
well, you know what?
Like further south.
The thing is, when you are in the brackish waters, you are clandestine. You are hidden. They cannot be seen if you're submerged in the Detroit River. Hopefully, if you're submerged in the Detroit River, you are wearing your own shoes and not heavy ones.
Brackish water is high salinity.
High selenium?
High salt. High salinity.
Oh man.
Detroit River is probably brackish. Probably, except it's probably not sea salt. It's probably fucking.
Lucas is being a fucking stick in the mud, and she says brackish water is where salt and fresh meat. I think of like brackish waters as like dank sewer fucking water. Like, ew, that's brackish.
That's why we got to go up to. That's why I said we have to go up to North Maine. We got to go up to where the. That's Sault Ste. Marie up there. Something.
We have Black Beauties and Cherokee Purples from that list, Noob. Yeah. The Cherokee Purples.
I've seen those before. Those are sweet.
It's not Roma. We have Amish pig, but it's pretty much the same thing. The paste tomato.
Okay.
Paste tomatoes are very specific, much different purposes, man. Paste tomato is going to have a much more.
Did you say paste as in like New York City? Somebody, Lucas will get that joke. She'll get that old paste fucking picante joke.
Yeah, paste is in my skin tone before March.
They're good for like salsas.
Shit, man. We are 20 minutes into this fucking thing. I guess we should get to the fucking what's in your stash.
What's in your baggie? What's in your stash? Look at the old. It's summertime, guys. So I really wanted to jump into a little bit of summer. You know, we talked about it last week a little bit, but the what's in your stash is kind of just to play on like the what's in my baggie, what's in your baggie.
What else? You know what it is what else is in it?
what else is in your stash, what is not in your stash.
Did you get fleeced?
A lot of times you don't have to worry about it with cannabis. Maybe it was last week we talked about the potential, for like hemp being sprayed or even cannabis being sprayed with RC K2 or some sort of analog like that. And the potential, right? Probability very low. Nonetheless, has potential. And then has potential for harm. So, discussing harm reduction, we just kind of want to discuss not necessarily what's in your cannabis baggie, especially if you're in Michigan. I hope that if you're in Michigan or a legal state, you have access to somebody who's growing. You're no more than one step away, one degree of separation from a farmer, or you can get tested meds if you go to a provisioning center. You can get tested meds from caregivers. So, it all depends on what you want to get there, if you even want tested meds in the first place. But for harm reduction purposes, let's just assume that you have a good, safe source. So cannabis, we don't really have to worry about. Let's talk more about what's in your powders or what's on your blotter tabs. You may not ever know, unless you are the chemist, know the chemist, are sourcing the raw materials to make such products. You really don't know. You have no idea. You're being told it is whatever. Ooh, that sounds good. And just real quick. Delish. So
delish.
So
he's got to mute himself for the cough there. That was good.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to any company that does testing reagents. Dance Safe, I believe, does some stuff. Bunk Police, of course. I believe we brought it up last week. Becca and I got a chance to be on the team for volunteer work with Bunk Police. So shout out to Bunk Police, of course. I have experience with using Bunk Police testing reagents, both for testing positive test results and negative test results. I've thrown some blotters straight in the trash because they all of a sudden tested the wrong colors. Now, after those tests, it was nice to know what they were. Could have kept them around, but they were old. And I don't know what the effects of those old substances are after so long. So go ahead.
Now, there is one point I would like to make that kind of dovetails with what you just said, which is when you finally do get your hands on a test, if you test something and it comes back as either a negative for what you're looking for or as a positive for something that you're not. I know it's going to feel heartbreaking for you to have to pitch that, flush that, whatever you want to do, responsibly get rid of it. But you have to remember, like, your forethought and planning has saved you from a very potentially negative situation. So, don't feel bad, feel empowered.
And whether or not you, I guess, are concerned about this, whether or not it's the same, let's say it has the same safety profile, okay? And it is an analog. Let's say it's one of the analogs. It's so nice to know what the real substance effects are, so that you have a subjective feeling to them, but also an objective feeling to them. So if you ever come across it again in some scenario, you might have known what you took, and you might be able to identify mishandling or misuse or overdose or something like that. It's probably just good to know what's in your stash. Now that we have advanced in these testing reagent, they're really just salts. We get back into the brackish water talk again, because these are salts with different levels of like acidity. It's like has like a different pH or something like that. And so they're going to react with different colors depending on different molecules that touch them. So they're able to dial in this stuff pretty well. And then they also have new types of what was the name of the other type of reagent that actually will test the up to like quantity, like it'll quantify dosage.
That's really interesting to me, is to be able to have some kind of idea. When you start talking about when I made my volumetric dosing with the acid, You know, it's a matter of, okay, what is actually on this blotter? Is it the 150 that it's purported to be? Is it 100? Is it 200? I don't know. So, you know, in terms of trying to be conscious about and mindful, it's, you know, it's just better to be safe than sorry. I know that's a very trite fucking observation, but you know, it's heavy, man. You start getting into different entheogens and stuff like that, your dosage does matter. And your mileage will vary from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're called a separation package. So it'll separate and quantify loosely,
that's dope.
you know, what you have in your powder, or I think you dissolve it into like a water. I don't know. It's a whole kit. It's crazy.
And most importantly, with the presence of fentanyl, I was watching this. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an opinion piece. I don't know if it was an actual documentary or what it was, but it was just a snippet of it. And it was somebody interviewing a fentanyl dealer. And again, I don't know if this is acting. I don't know if this is propaganda. I don't know anything about this. But so I'm going to be completely transparent with that information. Let's just say it was a real video. It was this guy that was basically saying, yeah, I deal fentanyl. Like he was 100% pure what it was. It was like, you know, stuff we have is like maybe 10, 20% heroin and like 80% fentanyl.
Sure. At that point in the distribution chain,
80%.
You know, like at that distribution chain, it could be 100 or 80%. But the problem is that there's so many foot soldiers in between that guy that's producing and you who is using, that, you know, it only takes one wrong turn in the fucking supply chain for shit to get wacky real quick for you.
Well, this guy was claiming that he was dealing fentanyl heroin, you know, and that's known, you know, yes, it is enough to kill somebody. Like, absolutely, there's enough in here. It's like 20% fentanyl or something like that. It has like 80% cutting agent. It was only 20% heroin, like 80% cutting agent, and like 20% of the cutting agent was fentanyl. Something like that. He knew down to like the math of what was in every dose. Like he was the guy splitting it up. It was terrible. Like he's putting it in there. And they're like, well, you know that it'll kill people. And he's like, yes, but they're going to make their own decisions.
Here's the issue that I have. Okay, so I was just, while you're saying that, I was thinking of like, I'm really big into music, man. And so I think of all of the musicians that have died in the last 10 years from a fentanyl mix-up. You know what I mean? Whether it's Tom Petty or Prince or Mac Miller or Lil Peep, whoever the fuck it is, it doesn't really matter because fentanyl doesn't discriminate. So my problem that I have is if this dude's doing an 80-20 run, right? Let's talk about this for a second. So I said, if there's a wrong turn in the supply chain, you can really get fucked up. So what if somebody goes, well, I've never had a problem adding a 10% increase of fentanyl just to get a little further stretch on this. So now instead of it being 80-20, now it's 70-30. That can happen at any point in the supply chain. So again, everybody's got a guy. Everybody knows that one person. You know what I mean? I got a guy. Yeah, I know. Okay, but that dude might have to have a guy or a girl or somebody else in between. So, you know, forewarned is forearmed. What's the cost on that new test, Becca?
Yeah.
The separation one is $85.
Look up a fentanyl strip.
Oh, fentanyl.
You can get some fentanyl strips pretty easy. Doesn't take much of your sample either. You know, if you have a baggie, it takes, you know, 1/10 of a gram or something like that.
I mean, they make great stocking stuffers.
Some water. Sure. Yes, absolutely.
The 10-pack is $20.
10 packs, $20. So
there you go.
$2 a test.
But like it could save your life.
Absolutely. So add that cost to your sourcing, to when you're sourcing. If you're somebody who sources daily, add an extra $2 to your daily sourcing or whatever it is, and that might absolutely, that will save your life. Actually, will save your life, because the odds of you coming across deadly amounts of fentanyl are incredibly high. So then we see people known to be addicted to fentanyl in the chat. And Blue Kiss is asking if it's that easy to manufacture. It gets manufactured in overseas, and yes, very easy. It's not the pharmaceutical fentanyl. It's not that. That is in the United States at least a patch, and that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about fentanyl patch that's pharmaceutical grade that comes through a pharmacist or anything like that. These are fentanyl analogs. And we've been talking about analogs like LSD analogs.
Can we define what an analog is real quick?
One little molecule over. No, off the top of my head, I don't.
You're close. You said it's one molecule over. It's something that is supposed to be one thing. It's masquerading.
As far as the chemical analog, like they're changing a hydrogen atom, or they're changing a carbon atom, and they're moving it into the sense that you still have a substance with similar effects, but it's a different substance.
It just says a compound with a molecular structure closely similar to that of another.
Okay.
So exactly what you guys were saying.
So it's almost identical to the other structure, but it's enough of a difference to where the legality of it makes it a completely different compound. So now it no longer has ties to politics, borders, drug war, or anything like that. It's able to then get manufactured easily and then get sent over through the dark web, the white web, whatever
The mail.
it is. Yeah. And so that's, yes, it's incredibly easy to manufacture when it's not actually illegal. And that's most research chemicals.
The problem though is a lot of it's being like nefariously produced though, like it's being produced for not nefarious.
Yeah. That is 100% it's people trying to make a buck off of that industry, the addiction industry.
Right.
It's incredibly, I'm assuming, cheap to manufacture if they're able, if it's at the top of the food chain right now as far as substance deaths go. I don't see it slowing anytime soon.
That's kind of why, I'm not trying to overstate the obvious, but that's one of the things that's always kept me away from other hard drugs, other than not like really being into that, but was the fact that I was just like, man, I have known too many fucking people that they never got a second chance, and that goes all the way back to when I was just graduated from high school. I lost a friend.
Yeah.
And then through the years, it starts adding up until you get to be a certain age and you're like, damn, all my fucking drug buddies are like gone. And that's a fucking sobering ass realization. I was friends with an old junkie. And I say this with love. Okay. His name was Keith. And I was probably 24, 25. And he was like 52 and he looked like he was 80. And he had been fucking banging heroin since like 1970. And the only reason that Keith was still around to have these great conversations with is because he kept getting fucking locked up. So he was like always perpetually on parole. So then they would like pop him for a urine and then he'd go back inside and I wouldn't see him for a while. And then he'd come back out in the same place and I would see him again and we would have conversations. And he told me, he said, all of my friends are fucking dead. All of my friends are dead. And the only reason that I'm not dead is because I keep getting locked up. That's a fucking hell of a realization, man. And I haven't seen Keith in a long time, man. So I don't know. But I'm sure that a Keith or a Kelly, or a Cassandra. It doesn't matter. The names don't matter. The drugs don't matter. It doesn't matter. It's always the same fucking thing though, man.
A lot of times, a lot of times your buddy's got their shit together, so you're just like, if it's helping them, it's helping them. But then there's that one stash that just
comes through town and fucking leaves a trail in its wake.
And it's not that they overdosed on whatever substance that they were normally doing. It's that they had a substance reaction because they did a different substance. It was a substance reaction, not so much an overdose of the substance. Yes, overdoses do happen. More common, it's a substance reaction between a couple of different or multiple substances, alcohol, and then stimulants, and then barbiturates, et cetera, the whole thing.
Man.
Rare that it's in fact probably not at all psychedelics or anything like that.
Right.
The huge difference in the safety between these substances, and also the mood that it keeps you in. Some of these substances, they might be temporarily fun or whatever, that mood, man, they just really, they hide reality more than make you face it.
It's hard to be high functioning sometimes when you're in the grip of an addiction like that, so you're going to make bad choices. It's only natural.
Bad choices.
That's why you have to fucking make it a point in your life to try to surround yourself with the right people. And what I mean by the right people is people that care about you, people that love you, people that want to see you happy, people that want to see you succeed. Because it's too easy, man. When you get into this, some of these other, like we're in the big happy cannabis community, right? We're in our little teeny fucking corner over here. And there's, the channel, let me just do a cheap plug real quick for the MBGS. MBGS is creeping up on 5,000 subscribers, right? That's a very small fucking market, But I realize when I step out of that market and I step into these other worlds and these other places and these other drugs, that it's very, very different. And it's very easy to slide down a slippery slope and to, there's an old British saying, it's called come a cropper. And what that means is like when the horse fucking throws you over the front end, it's up to the crop. So you really, really just need to be careful, man. And like I said, you can fall off those bridges when you come to it, man, but don't fucking set them on fire. Don't blow them up as you walk past them, because sometimes you're going to need somebody and somebody else is going to need you. Be safe out there. That's it.
I used to take a lot of pills. I used to take a lot of opioid pills. Escapism sometimes. Sometimes it was just like body buzz, feels good. I'd get chatty if I drank a Red Bull. That was, again, mixing uppers and downers. You're mixing uppers and downers, it's a fun buzz. But mileage varies in so many ways. I knew that my mileage was going to vary, and thankfully, I didn't stay down that path because of a lot of those pills I was taking are now manufactured as fakes. There's a lot of fake, false, bust shit. And yeah, they have fentanyl in them.
I mean, it's like a fucking crapshoot every night. You know what I mean? Or sometimes, in some instances, it's multiple times a day. It can be,
Dude, it's in all kinds of wild shit too. They're putting it in cocaine. So you like, that's something that you would think would be they would want stimulating. No, they want just party effects, whatever it's gonna do. Just throw it in.
Everybody self-medicates, Red.
It's a cocktail of drugs.
Yeah, man.
Call it what it is. If you're gonna make it, call it what it is. Don't disguise it. Tell somebody what it is so that they can make an adult decision on whether or not they want to put it in their body. Don't just, sugarcoat it and call it, something good when it's not. It's been stepped on a bunch of times. Call it what it is, man. Tell them that it's fucking freebase and some bullshit.
But that's not the way the game is played, though, because you can't charge as much for that, Red. And that's the other side of outside of our rosy community. To me, I'm all about medicine. I'm all about, hey, I recognize that every single fucking person that listens to this, you are also self-medicating. Somehow, some way, it doesn't matter. It's a coping device, man. And I think that's one of the things is like, I'm not trying to soapbox this shit, but everybody could use more, better, stronger coping skills. Depression's a bitch.
Volume's a little loud. Bring it up a notch or bring it down a notch. Does it need to be loud?
Or is it low?
Well, they don't have the microphone. They are using a phone, so you're not going to get that, red setter sound from that. So, but they are such troopers that they have taken the time out from their fucking busy planting palooza to fucking do a polarity science, and that's a whole lot of peas. And I hope that this has brought you a lot of pleasure this evening.
Yeah, I do. I hope it has brought everyone a lot of pleasure. I hope that getting a chance to commune for an hour once a week. I can't believe it's already Thursday, dude. I feel like we just had that same plan.
It totally does, dude.
Oh, it's already been a week.
Yeah, man.
God.
Yeah, when you're mentioning
we've been in the garden, like rain or shine. We've been in the garden.
It was raining today.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's rained all day here, on and off, man.
Not bad though. It never. I saw that it was going to be severe, but I never had anything bad by us.
Cannabis outside.
I get a question for chat before we get out of here. I know we're not going yet, but we're getting there. Chat, give us some feedback on what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you guys need to do your own little PSA to somebody in your lives. Maybe the fact that you can even just mention the fact, hey, I heard that there's testing kits out there can be enough to spark somebody that could use that.
Well, the conversation comes up because summer camp is about to happen, which is in South Illinois, mid Illinois. Okay, so I know a bunch of family here in chat from the Chicago region. If you guys know anybody going to summer camp, shout out some testing kits. Shout out Bunk Police is probably going to be at summer camp. Shout out their booth. You go check them out. And probably be available for testing there. At summer camp. So, it came up in a group chat, a little snorter popped up in the group chat of a bunch of people going to summer camp. So it brought to my attention, this whole thing, festival season is well underway. We've already vended a handful of cannabis festivals, all the big major, was it Dome Fest already happened, all the big major festivals are already well underway. And it's, the stash is in town. It's what happened. The circus is in town, and so is the stash, and in multitudes. And so, and we're just, I'm all for everybody's own sovereignty, right? Do what you do, but
do it informed. That's all I'm saying, man.
Yeah. I want you all to stick around. I love everybody. I think you're all great people. Every one of you out there. Whatever it might be, bad stuff in your past or whatever's going on, all great people in some way. And, I think that there is a reason for harm. There's a purpose for harm reduction, for everybody.
Well, that's why I'm going to do a cheap plug for the show. A cheap plug for the show is like, dude, it's cool to just even have these conversations. And shout out to Chad for when they come through with the information, whether it's to clarify or correct, or also to add to something that we're talking about. Yeah.
The selfishness coming also, Skilbo, though, because in a world of, like you said, you have like addicts, fiends, and like people who aren't making good decisions. You can be a bystander to somebody's poor decision because of their, consumption habits, basically.
It's all about ripples, bro.
I've been ripped off many times by people's consumption habits. I'm sure a lot of us have. So, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's about being responsible, slapping your buddy upside the head sometimes when they need it, or not to be violent, but having a nice conversation, stern conversation with them. Sometimes.
Skilbo, I like your shirt.
Brothers Force.
I like that shirt too.
Yeah, man.
Did you see the dates for the one in August?
Yeah, but it's fucking West Side, bro. It's always West Side, and they're killing me with this West Side shit. Like,
Not that much West Side. It's more closer to us here in Brooklyn. It's kind of like it might not be
closer to
Jackson County.
Hillsdale.
Well, okay, it's a little closer to Hillsdale.
So
it's
that's not
south,
too
it's
far.
south,
Yeah,
middle. So
it's
still this side of
doable.
Goldwater. I wouldn't say it's the west side until you're the other side of like.
But it's 2-day camping, so that'll be a fun one, and we'll be there for sure.
I would come through for a day.
We're gonna be there for sure. We're gonna do Spread the Spores. We got lots of art this year for Spread the Spores. We got the glass work by Diligent Glass. We have some mushroom pendants and some good stuff.
And we're gonna have some polarity stuff before then, is the plan.
Yes. Yes.
Shirts, maybe. We'll see.
Swag and stuff.
I gotta get one, man. It's cool shit.
Obviously.
We'll see about the shirts. We definitely are getting more Red Setter Farm shirts. I think most of you guys got the Red.
But I gotta give a shout out to the Red Setter Farm pins. Whoever did those pins for you, those are like so nice. Shit, man. You know, there's like levels to that, like enamel pin back kind of pin. Sometimes they're like, eh.
I didn't think it was gonna come out the way I wanted it to.
Turned out well.
It came out the way I wanted it to. Yeah, with the gunmetal top instead of it's only one color enamel. It's just red enamel. The black's not black enamel. It's
right.
Like gunmetal, which is kind of what I wanted. I'm happy they did it really well. I mean, I hope they can recreate that again. I forget. I want to show it out. I think it wasn't Wizard Pins. I think that's might even be a Michigan company. That was have to think. Shoot. Photographic memory's got it right in my head. So I called it.
You're looking at the negative instead.
Yeah, probably. I'm looking at space between. Our Hillsdale is a nice small town. Yeah, Hillsdale is a small town. I have traffic.
What college is there?
Hillsdale County.
Hillsdale College.
Probably.
I don't know. Hillsdale is pretty small. I don't know.
My stepmom went to college there, but I just can't. I
guess there's
can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
Dude, I've driven all over this weird ass fucking parts of the state for this show and meeting up with people and stuff. And there's so many weird spots.
It's fun.
So many cool ass roads though, man. You know, like I've seen some cool ass scenery like Northern Territorial Road. That's a fucking sweet run. You go by all those lakes and stuff. And then there's like somebody used to live out not on Moscow Road, but you take Moscow Road and you're just driving along and then it's like, oh shit, there's these humongous fucking windmills that just come out of nowhere on you, you know, like, wow, you don't see those all over the place. Get out and do something this summer. You know what I mean? Like, enjoy yourself.
Shut up to Abolish. I think he said he was going camping, and that's probably what he's prepping for. So I hope he is. Get out there and go camping. Get some mosquito bites, man. It's good for you.
I got one on my neck.
That's just red.
No. That'd be weird.
No.
No.
Yeah, our one air mattress. The air mattress chat's going off.
Blue Kiss is asking if there's a raft trip planned. No, there's not this year. But I know that's why you guys got that fucking air pump though, is so you didn't have to fuck around with it for the next float down. Like, we are not going to be blowing on these fucking things.
Dude, I have a battery powered pump. I'm just I really don't like the battery pump. It takes D batteries.
Right.
Okay, red's too low. Yeah.
Doctor, we can't do anything about it. They're using a phone, brother. They're using a phone, so they don't have a microphone. That's all it is.
I'm on. It probably has more to do with my satellite internet.
Or maybe your volume of voice. You personally.
Could be my volume of voice. Maybe it's my.
Yeah, there is no Luzerne this year either. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, the big clouds is the thing. We're not vending this big cloud that's next weekend. This is when we're on our vacation. We're going to be doing the. Hope to see somebody at the homesteading festival. That's where we're going to be. We're going to be learning about growing chickens.
Hell yeah.
And peach trees and shit. You know, whatever. For lack of
That's down near
Talk about that.
Nashville.
Yeah, we're going down to the Smoky Mountains. We're gonna spend some time down in the forest, man. We're gonna go.
It's cool, man. It's a cool drive.
Yeah.
Stony. So what we were trying to say is, sorry, Aldridge, I won't mumble, but Stony, Spread the Spores is in August, and that's an overnight camping trip.
Where's
And
that one at?
That's near where we are now, Coldwater, Hillsdale, where we
okay.
were talking.
I could do that. That would be cool.
And Gems and Genetics is a couple weeks after that at the same Sarns Resort north of Grand Rapids, and that's 2 days camping as well.
We should rent one of those cottages. Oh,
dude, you can't get those fucking cottages. Those were rented out way before they even thought about opening the gates to any of that shit. Those fat cats, you bastards. It's funny in the chat the other day, guys. We were looking for trailers, so I was sending nothing but like fucking Craigslist things, and then Sequence was sending buses from eBay Motors and shit. We were trying to hook Red up. So if anybody knows anybody that's got a reasonable camper for sale, and I mean reasonable, I don't mean like, I only want 18 for it. Like, that's not reasonable, bro. This is an enterprising young couple. So if you got something, let them know, DM them, and say, hey, yo, check out my Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, we got a very, very modest budget.
It's a very, very modest. One might even say prudish, right? Buttoned all the way up. Shit.
A couple grand would be awesome, but it's probably going to be, the better part of 5 to 7, but
we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we get something for way less than that. 2, 3, dude. Pop-up. I've been talking about this forever. Pop-up campers, like 2015, 2012 to
7,000 still.
They're like, yeah, yep, they really are.
And it's just a shitty pop-up. It's like, damn.
Pop-up, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the pop-up. Those are really nice. I wouldn't even mind, you might have to replace the canvas after a decade or whatever.
Dude, if you're gonna do that, you just make a fucking hard side, man. Strip that bitch down to the fucking base, rebuild it from the bottom, make it teardrop. Shit.
Yeah.
You have your aircraft ability. I'm sure you could fucking hook up some aluminum fucking shit on the side.
We need the size. We just need something for not just like camping in, but we need it for like vending. So we need it for like storage. We need it to haul all of our shit. We need to be able to toss a couple canopies. We need like roof racks and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something with air conditioning. So if we got to take dogs with us or something like
that. Dude, I seen one go by. It was a fifth wheel today, and I was at a restaurant. I'm looking out the window. I said, "Oh hell no!" This fucking thing had 3 air conditioners. Bang, bang, bang on it. I said, "What the fuck?" Jesus, so you fucking shaving meat in there or something? What's going on? Don't need all that shit. They get like the plastic curtains and shit in front, like when you go into a cooler at Kroger.
Live out on the road, man. I guess.
Ain't nobody roughing it no more, apparently.
We the Bronco only pulls 3,500 pounds, so we need like 2,500 pounds because
you'll be straight.
Load it up with stuff. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's a small fifth wheel, small little one, something that's like 15 feet, 20 feet, 2,500 pounds. We'll find something fine.
Blue Kiss says she wants a gypsy wagon, but big enough for the Trailblazer. Blue Kiss, people will just make that shit, man. Those are fucking pretty dope. If you ever want to just get stoned and type in like DIY gypsy wagon into YouTube, and then you'll be like, oh shit, that's kind of cool.
You can probably pull just about anything with the Trailblazer.
Google that.
You're like, hell yeah, man. No, it's like I go on the man. So I've always been poor, right? This is a good way to preface the story. I've always been fucking poor. So I've always had to figure out ways to like get shit done without having like the proper tools or the proper shit, and just kind of like, okay, well, how can I try to semi-design something that'll work? And so when I see, like, I'll go on Craigslist and like I see these trailers that are all beat up and shit, and I'm like, dude, that's nothing but some fucking rip that old floor up out of there. It's just some plywood on there. That's, you know what I mean? Carriage bolts and shit. Throw that down, throw some fucking, like if you have some leftover flooring from like a bedroom or some shit that you have left over a couple cases, like I'll just floor the fucking trailer in there.
We do. I could
there
totally
you go.
redo the floor on something.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is most of them fucking leak, bro. So if you can figure out what flashing is and how it operates, you can avoid most fucking leaky situations for that. It's just the answer isn't to add more silicone caulk. That's never the answer. There's always another reason that there's a problem.
Take a bunch of silver RTV and go at it. A couple tubes of that shit.
Aldridge, I'm ghetto
Speaking
fabulous.
of which,
Yeah, man.
I got a vacuum on my floor. Ants coming in, so I'm self-leveling, cementing. It's kind of a viscous, heavily viscous caulk. This shit's like gnarly, and it'll like lay out and get into the holes, and it'll be still kind of tacky forever. It's forever kind of like rubberized, but it'll fill up the whole night.
Flex Seal, baby, Flex Seal.
It's paintable and all that shit. So yeah, a little bit cheaper than Flex Seal, fortunately. So the problem is, man, I plugged the tube up and I put it in a fucking bag, dude. I put a big nail in the tip. I used it in the last room. I put a big nail in the tip of the tube. Think of a silicone tube, right? Kind of putting a gun. Put a nail in it, but it's a big one. Maybe Stoney's got the trick for this. Put the fucking nail in it. Fucking, keep a plug in it. But I've tried putting a plug in it before, but it hardens up. It doesn't work. So this time I put a fucking Ziploc bag over the top of the cone. And I taped the fucker up. So I made it so that it was air, so it wasn't going to dry out. It didn't dry out. I pulled the nail out, no problem. Sure enough, there's a fucking gum ring around the inside and I can't get it to come out. So the whole fucking tube of that shit down the fucking trash. I tried for about 20 minutes. I was getting
like surgery.
Liquid. I was getting liquid out of it. Like it was good. Like the caulk was still good. The problem is like whatever's in the tube is just too mucky, too hard that it wouldn't.
It's a one shot. It's kind of like super glue, Reg. You never whenever you buy super glue, don't plan on reusing it again. It's gone.
Right.
It's one shot, one.
You gotta get the 3-packs. Yeah,
that's exactly it, man. Because all you're gonna do is go fuck later on and piss your future self off because you're gonna put one in the drawer and think it's gonna be good and it's not.
Yep. So you need to use a little bit on your project space and then go fill a bunch of fucking cracks around your garage and shit. That's what I'm gonna
go hog with it, man.
Yep, go crazy with it on some other holes.
Every corner.
Start filling holes.
Just like go around every corner.
Well, it's leveling, so it's got to be on the ground or it'll flow off of whatever it's on. Just kind of it flows to level, and then it just kind of hardens up.
It takes us right up to the fucking wall, man. I know you guys are going to be fucking getting up with the sunlight, so that's about 5:30 in the morning, 6.
We're going to be staying up until
dude.
Then.
Jesus.
Bro. No. Red is a slave driver, Rebecca. I got to fucking stick up for you.
No, I get to a certain point where like I have to go to sleep.
Yeah, because it's not worth it, We've been making mistakes and shit, especially when you're planning things.
How bad is it?
Do you leave the water on?
Yeah, it is what it is.
Is it bad?
It is what it is. It happens all often. I guess there's a drain. It's not a big deal. It's not like a flooding floor. It floods out of the reservoir.
I knew it was water.
I had to shut it off. It was overflowing. Fucker. But it does. It's fucking wall wet and shit. It's a pain in the ass. I got stuff stored behind it, so it gets the boxes wet. That's a pain in the ass. But everything's up off the ground, so nothing sits in water. Fortunately, when you know a room's gonna get wet, you always keep everything up off the ground. So yeah, I got a couple rooms here another room water comes in, so I always keep shit up off the ground in that. So everything's always up on blocks, but It is
No show
11
next
o'clock
week?
now, and
No show?
no show next week. No show next week. We will
Okay.
We'll be in
down south. So
camping.
yeah, we'll be camping. We'll be having a good old time down south. It'll be fun. Hope to see everybody in the following week though, and hope to see everybody in Michigan Bros Growth Show. We'll try and tune in ourselves if we can. You know, there.
Dude, have a good trip, man. Enjoy, Becca. You've earned your vacation.
Well, got a couple more days. Hard work. Gotta keep going.
Guys, I'm sorry about the audio, okay? Jeez.
They're torching us for the audio, man. Next, if we just won't do a show next time, then see, that's how that'll work, man. We got to work with what we got.
Yeah, we'll do a show next time. Yeah, I wanted to do a show, guys. Shit.
Now you're making me feel bad.
Yeah, don't do this one. Then it'll be, if I shut Zoom off, then it's just gonna be YouTube running all night. So I have to find the YouTube.
Like the late sesh. Dude, did you go back and watch that? Just a real quick thing. If anybody didn't watch the late sesh this week, even if you don't watch the rest of it, go watch like the last 60 seconds of it, because the drop off on 3, 2, 1. Like if you watch it, dude, it's like, God, that's perfect. Thank you for the show, guys. Always fun. Thank you, Stoney. I can't turn it down. If I turn it down, I'm going to stand back here like this, and it's going to really be hard for everybody here. So I'm going to be right here in your ear.
Becca, you have anything else?
Have a good time.
Have a good time.
Always.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate all the love. It was a fun show. Sorry about the connection issues or whatever. But just spreading some awareness tonight, spreading some love. Everybody, safe travels out there. If you're heading to festivals, if you're heading out of town, heading camping and everything, be safe. Touch stash. Well, love,
yeah,
everybody.
man.
Thank you.